Diamond P Sports presents the fastest sport on wheels, championship drag racing.
Red-hot qualifying ride for Billy Meyer in his funny car from Waco, Texas. Meyer exploding an engine as he approached the finish line speed trap, brought the car to a safe and sound halt as he activated the onboard fire extinguishers, the flames licking out from under the car, burning off the parachute. Billy quick on the brakes, bringing it to a safe stop. Working with me today at the Cajun Nationals is Steve Evans. He had an opportunity to talk with Billy right after this fire.
Fire, the most frightening word a funny car driver can hear. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
It appears that most of the damage is on this side of the car. Maybe you could tell us what happened.
I don't know, coming in right at about the first light, the thing just lay down, and right when I clicked it off, and I was lucky I just had gone for the chute because it didn't last very long.
Did you feel any heat in the cockpit?
Oh, it was a hot fire. It got in. I don't know why it got in, because we have it pretty well protected, and but it got in pretty good.
When you have a fire like that, do you know for certain it's going to burn the chute off and you're really on the brakes as quickly as you can?
Yeah, because it's a nylon chute. Nylon doesn't last very long in any condition.
Billy was able to repair his car and make one final qualifying attempt, but did not make the 8-car show at the Cajun Nationals. Top Fuel Eliminator, a different story, as the new concrete starting line at State Capitol Dragway gave Shirley Muldowney the launch she needed to record the first ever 5-second elapsed time in drag racing history in the state of Louisiana. 5.98-second elapsed time to cover the quarter mile, held up for Shirley for the #1 qualifying position. We were able to talk to Shirley in the pits and ask her how she did it.
It looked easy.
It was easy. My fellows do such a good job. They make it easy for me. They make me look good. It did an extra long burnout, and I came off the starting line with a rather low lead, give the car a chance to do its thing, and it got out there. We put the biggest tire Goodyear makes on it. It shook a little bit, top end of low gear, 100 pounds oil pressure in the lights. I knew it was going fast, and I knew it went quick.
You had time to look at the oil pressure gauge and the lights?
Always try to do that if I can, if I have a good seat. What it does is, if there is a little problem that may not show up, I can let the fellas know, and they'll go look for it.
At 250 miles an hour, thereabouts, the lady sees everything.
That's my job, Steve.
Shirley Muldowney.
Shirley, the racers and an overflow crowd jammed into State Capitol Dragway on race day and were greeted by the nemesis of all outdoor drag racing events, and that, of course, is rain. The rains came early in the morning, slacked off towards midday, and the NHRA crew went to work, almost had the racetrack dry, but the rains started once again, the crowd patiently waiting in anticipation of a great race, as is evidenced by that fine 5.98-second elapsed time in qualifying by Shirley Muldowney. But the wait was to no avail. The race had to be postponed. The race day rains brought us back under the lights. That's right, it's championship drag racing at night, absolutely one of the most exciting spectacles in all of motorsports. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave McClelland, and we're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to bring you the 4th Annual Cajun Nationals. We'll be back in just a moment. When the sun goes down on a drag strip, things change. For the spectator, you get the chance to see things that you never spot in the daytime. For the racer, that's an entirely different story. Earlier today, Steve had a chance to talk with some of them.
Dave, it's been 4 long, agonizing days since the tire was last turned on this racetrack. Last Sunday, the drivers were in their cars ready to race when the rains came. We're asking the drivers how they hold up under this mental and mechanical pressure. Kelly Brown?
Well, that's a tough one. You know, I think the advantage that some of us have, maybe we can get ourselves back up for a race after waiting 2 or 3 days. And myself, I think I can make that happen. I'm not real concerned with it. I'm ready.
It's kind of a cold track now.
track is probably a little bit cold. It doesn't have a lot of rubber on it, but it was washed off a little bit from our range the other day, and it may be a little cleaner. I'm not too concerned with it. I have excellent guys with Bill Schultz working on this clutch and engine, and he's very track savvy, and he'll have this car ready to go, I'll guarantee you.
Now we've got a night race all of a sudden. Do you prefer day or night as far as racing conditions, driving?
Well, that's a good question, because Saturday night was the first time I had driven at night in 7 years. And I was a little worried about it at first because it's been a long time, but we ran 32 and 230, and so there's no problem. In fact, it was kind of neat. It was different.
Randy, you set the Pro Stock World on its ear a few weeks ago, setting the national record at 8:46. Now you're on the Pro Tour, and the first time you get rained out for 4 days. How are you handling all this?
Got a lot of rest in the motel, that's for sure. Oh, you know, it's just one of those things you have to put up with in drag racing, and none of us like it, but we just have to make the best of it.
Suddenly, the track is cold. It's a night race instead of a day race. Do you change anything?
We like it. Our car really runs good in the night air. It has to do with the engine. The Hemi engine just likes the night air much better. I think we probably gain more from it than the other guys. I really feel it. The cooler it is, the faster the track is, the better we gain from it.
And certainly the fans enjoy the night racing.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, especially the funny cars and top fuel cars. They like, it's a different drag race at night. It really is.
The delay, does it affect you emotionally? Does it affect your combination mechanically?
No, I don't think so. The weather's good. The track should be the same. The only inconvenience is it made it a little tight for this coming weekend. We'll just have to move our schedule up a little.
The racers were ready as earlier this evening in the gathering twilight, the 8 top fuel qualifiers ran the first round of eliminations at the Cajun Nationals. In the first race of the first round, Johnny Abbott at the wheel of the Frazier and Abbott car of Denver, Colorado, defeated Bob Noyce driving for Brissett and Drake. Jake Coughlin from Dublin, Ohio against Jeb Allen of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, Coughlin winning at over 243 miles an hour. Larry Dixon, driving for Larry Minor, had the dubious honor of running the #1 qualifier, Shirley Muldowney. Shirley wins it for speed 242 miles an hour. And Jerry Ruth of Seattle, Washington, racing the defending champion, Kelly Brown. Kelly winning the first round race at only 228 miles an hour. By the time of the semifinals, darkness had enveloped State Capitol Dragway, and Kelly Brown, the defending champion, now at the wheel of the over-the-hill gang car. But just a year ago, it was Brissett and Drake, Jim Brissett and Mike Drake, with Kelly Brown at the wheel, taking the 1978 Cajun Nationals top fuel title over Mike Tarter of Houston, Texas. Kelly used the Cajun Nationals victory and about 3 more major championship wins to annex the world champion title in 1978. But here in 1979, the team of Jim Thomas, Sonny Diaz, and Bill Schultz, the over-the-hill gang with the world champion Kelly Brown at the wheel against Jake Coughlin in the semifinal round of racing at the Cajun National. In the darkness, you can see the header flames coming out of the 2,000 horsepower nitromethane burning engines as they leave the start. A big wheel stand for Jake Coughlin. Kelly Brown continues on. He shuts it off early as he goes through the trap at 6.07 seconds, only 219 miles an hour. Here in instant replay, you watch as they leave the starting line together. Side by side, it's Jake Coughlin and Kelly Brown. Coughlin in the far lane, immediately going into a power wheel stand. The traction very, very strong, and Coughlin, the wheels high in the air. So it's Kelly Brown in the Cajun Nationals finals for the 2nd year in a row. Let's join Steve and Kelly at the finish line.
Kelly Brown, Dave, showing amazing consistency, 2 607s.
Well, again, I have to attribute that to Bill Schultz and the Over-the-Hill gang for dialing the car in like a Swiss watch, you know.
That looked like an easier 607, though. The speed was off.
The speed was off a little bit because I usually shut it off early. You know, there's no sense in running any farther than you really have to.
Did you see Jag?
I saw his wheels briefly, and that was about it. He looked like he made a good move also off the starting line, so it may have been a very close race had he not done that.
Kelly Brown, you could be a 2-time champion here. You won it last year.
Well, let's hope we're a 2-time champion at lots of these national events, you know, I hope.
I know you're interested in this next race. It's Shirley Muldowney, the gal you're chasing in the points, so let's watch it.
The girl that I'm chasing in the points, but yeah, I will watch it.
Okay, Kelly Brown.
The final pair of cars in semifinal top fuel racing. Former world champion Shirley Muldowney currently leading in the world championship points chase. Her competitor, Johnny Abbott. In instant replay slow motion, we see Shirley Muldowney, the burnout, designed to heat the tires, but here gives you an excellent opportunity to see those header planes. They're there during daytime racing, but with the sunlight being bright, they overshadow the flames. At night, this is part of what I was saying, the spectator gets a completely different perspective of Top Fuel and funny car racing. Johnny Abbott with the Frazier and Abbott Top Fuel dragster, equipped with a reverser, headed back into his own track. Crew chief and partner Larry Frazier directing traffic for Johnny Abbott. Number 5 in the world in 1978, trying his best to make the move on the lady leading in the points chase for this season. Burnouts completed for both cars, coming into the staging beams. The bright yellow lights at the top of the starting line device, the Christmas tree, indicate when both cars are ready. When all 4 lights are lit, the starter throws the switch, the green light comes on, and they leave the line together. It's Shirley Muldowney extending her lead and taking the semifinal round win with a 5:98 elapsed time. Her speed 245 miles an hour. She equals her qualifying effort, defeating Johnny Abbott in the semifinal round of racing, putting her into the finals against the man that is currently number 2 in the points chase, Kelly Brown of Calabasas, California.
Shirley Muldowney coming out of her car, Dave. She does not yet know she has reset both ends of the state Capitol Dragway track record. Another 5:98, a little bit quicker than your qualifying run at 245 miles an hour, and it's you and Kelly Brown.
Oh, I've been waiting for this one, Steve. Good. I think we'll run good.
Well, Kelly is really gunning for you, and at least here you're going to maintain a lead when you leave here no matter what happens in the finals as far as points.
Well, yeah, definitely. I think we're going to win. The car's producing better mile an hour than Kelly's car. A whole lot better, so I think we'll have the advantage, hopefully.
The big top-end charge.
That's what it takes, yeah.
More Cajun Nationals racing in just a moment. You're looking at the top team in all of drag racing. A man and his wife, along with their 2 sons, have dominated a segment of the sport so effectively it staggers the imagination. Bob and Etta Glidden today hold so many records, it's difficult to list them all. From a beginning in Superstock in the early 70s, where his main recognition resulted from a divisional title, Bob entered his first Pro Stock race at the 1972 Super Nationals in California, making it to the runner-up spot. His first major event win came in 1973 at the U.S. Nationals and started the Glidden family on a series of wins that seems to have no end. Coming into the 4th annual Cajun Nationals, Bob is number 2 on the all-time win list with a total of 22, second only to Don Prudhomme's record total of 27. Bob has also made an incredible 15 straight final round appearances in the very difficult and demanding Pro Stock category. The Pro Stock car is the ultimate drag racing machine constructed from an original factory-produced automobile. NHRA utilizes a system of weight factors to allow many different makes to be competitive. Bob Glidden has seen weight changes come and go, and it seems to have no effect on his ability to win. In fact, Glidden retired his undefeated Ford Fairmont at the end of the 1978 season, built this Plymouth Arrow, debuted it at the Winter Nationals and won, then won again at the Gator Nationals. Bob entered the Cajun Nationals with additional weight added to that Arrow and is the number 1 qualifier once again.
Your win streak is uninterrupted even though you totally change equipment. How can you possibly be so consistent?
Well, we have a lot of years of experience in Pro Stock racing. We have quite a facility back in Indiana, and I have my wife, my kids. It's a family operation. I think this has helped us a lot in learning and knowing more about our car and what we do.
6 or 7 years ago, you're a line mechanic at an automobile dealership. You make up your mind to go pro racing. It must have been quite a decision for a family man.
Indeed it was. We had to make the decision as to whether we wanted to try to race, and back in those days that was a bad word to a lot of people, but we had to make our mind up as to whether we were going to race for a living or work our normal job and have a check at the end of the week.
You know, you see a lot of wives and kids helping out with the race car, putting air in the tires maybe, or pouring the fuel in the tank. Not so with your family. They're really involved mechanically.
Well, a lot of families are getting more involved in drag racing today. But our family has been involved in this for 10, 12 years. Etta, this is really all she knows. She lives, eats, sleeps this drag racing because it is our profession, and we try to do our best at it.
When the race is over, who takes everything apart?
Well, rarely do I take an engine apart. Etta or Billy or the two of them will always remove and disassemble the parts. The engine, whatever, transmissions, rear ends, and my main concern is how they go together and what goes together.
6 years ago, did you ever think you'd be on your way to becoming really a pro stock millionaire? You're close to that $1 million mark.
Fortunately, we are close, no. 6, 7 years ago, we were concerned about going to a race and qualifying, not how much money we were going to win.
If you were to quit right now, what do you think Etta would say?
Well, I am sure at this point, drag racing is like any other profession. After you do it and do it and do it and live it and eat it, you would think you would like to stop and do something else. The grass always looks greener on the other side. But I think after a couple of months or 3 or 4 months, it would look different. I think she would like to go back to it.
Well, you're famous now for these quick changes in equipment from one brand to another. What do we anticipate in the future here?
Well, I don't think we'll make any major changes. We might go back to another car for one race sometime during the year, but I think we'll stick with the Chrysler.
And this Cajun Nationals could be the 9th consecutive NHRA National Event victory for Bob Glidden, a record I don't think will ever be matched.
While Etta Glidden does a tremendous amount of work in the pits and in the shop at home, she also has an important function to perform on the starting line, helping out with Bob in the burnouts, orienting Bob on the racetrack, keeping tabs of the car prior to it leaving the starting line, making sure there's nothing leaking from underneath the car. Etta Glidden concentrates on that Christmas tree just as hard as her husband Bob. In the first round of racing at the Cajun Nationals, Jim Connett of Lilburn, Georgia, drew the honor of racing against the #1 qualifier. He red-lighted away his chance for the win, and Etta Glidden showing the reaction of joy in her face as husband Bob takes another first-round win. Red light left at the starting line. Etta Glidden heads back to the pits for more work. One of the true fans of drag racing is Louisiana Governor Edwin Edwards, and he presented to Shirley Muldowney a special plaque in recognition of her first 5-second elapsed time ever in the state of Louisiana, set during qualifying. Earlier in the evening, the overflow Cajun Nationals crowd at State Capitol Dragway thrilled to the 8 low qualifiers in the first round of Funny Car Eliminator. The defending champion Bob Pickett ran against Kenny Bernstein in the first round, and Pickett, losing to Bernstein, lost his chance to become a repeat champion. Tom Hoover, the hottest driver in the funny car circuit today and currently leading the World Championship Series points chase, losing out to Raymond Beadle in the famed Blue Max. Simon Menzies in the far lane overstaged and red-lighted away his chance as he had a shot at the low qualifier Ron Colson. The national champion Tom McEwen against John Force in first round racing at the Cajun Nationals, and John Force prevailing, eliminating the Mongoose in round #1. The racers remaining in the semifinals include Kenny Bernstein. 5 years in retirement, coming out last season, this year marking it very well. Ron Colson drives for Roland Leong. The title of the car, the name of the car, the Hawaiian. John Force, a longtime West Coast racer, moving into the top-of-the-line National Championship Tour in 1979 and doing a great job, will be racing in the semifinals, the Blue Max and Raymond Beadle from Dallas, Texas. This is Kenny Bernstein. Bernstein out of Austin, Texas against the low qualifier, Ron Colson, driving Roland Leong's Hawaiian. Bernstein, as we told you, out of drag racing for some 5 years. Prior to that, he had driven Top Fuel dragsters and funny cars both. Laying out for about 5 years, starting his own business, becoming a very successful independent businessman, deciding to come back into drag racing and doing it a big way. Ron Colson, the latest in a series of top drivers, for one of the best-known car owners in the business, Roland Leong. He always calls his cars Hawaiian, and his entries have won several national championship titles. In the darkness at State Capitol Dragway at Baton Rouge, this is semifinal round racing in Funny Car Eliminator. Both cars stayed. They leave the line together. A lot of smoke coming from the rear tires of both cars as Bernstein holding on for the win. Bernstein taking it at 6.49 seconds. His speed only 202 miles an hour. Here in instant replay, you see Ron Colson going up in smoke. Kenny Bernstein driving all over the racetrack as both cars losing traction.
Kenny Bernstein down here remarking that it's getting a little loose. You're all over the racetrack.
Well, I'm telling you, I didn't even know if I was going to hang on for a second. She just got completely sideways. It recovered okay, but I guess we put a little bit too much power in there for what's happening to the weather right now.
We have to go back somewhere in the 60s to find Kenny Bernstein in the final round, don't we?
A long time ago, I tell you. I think 73 of the Winter Nationals was a runner-up there, but this is the first major one that we got to the final in a long, long time.
Okay, we'll let you get back to that beautiful black truck of yours in the pit area as Leroy Goldstein, your crew chief, gets it ready.
Right. Thank you very much.
A very dejected Ron Colson heading back to his tow truck and will be going back into the pits, loading the Hawaiian, heading to another racetrack in another day. This is John Force, the Corvette-bodied funny car, to match up against Raymond Beadle and the crew gathering around Beadle's car. Off in the darkness, it's difficult to tell exactly what is happening, but Beadle's crew, working frantically, is yet to fire. Force having completed his initial burnout. Force, only 29 years old, just started into the national tour this season, and thus far has got some fine elapsed times with that Corvette-bodied funny car. But of course, the Blue Max, one of the best known names in all of drag racing. Force not taking advantage of the one shot that he might have to take an easy single. He could have pulled up and staged, and then it would have been the pressure on Beadle to fire it and get it to the line immediately. Force doing another burnout, obviously going to be trying for the best time that he can. You saw there the starter giving the signal. It'll be a single, and that's what's being signaled from the Beadle crew. That's it. The Blue Max out of competition. Some mechanical problems. We'll attempt to find out why, as John Force on a single run. He must make the same number of runs as his competitor, which is Kenny Bernstein, having already won his semifinal match. It'll be Bernstein against Force in the finals at the Cajun Nationals. Right now, let's see if he can notch a low elapsed time, lower than the 6.49 second time by Bernstein, to give him lane choice. John Force on his way to a good run. He does not. 6.52 seconds at 227 miles an hour, and that could be an important factor in the competition in the finals as to who gets the choice of lane. A dejected crew around Raymond Beadle's car. The car, we understand, unable to fire because of ignition problems.
Well, Dave, certainly it's going to be two of the most beautiful funny cars in all the world in the final round here at the Cajun Nationals. Kenny Bernstein's Chelsea King out of Texas and from California. In his rookie year on the Pro Tour, he's been drag racing on the West Coast for a number of years, but the first time with a really quality operation is John Force. And I'll tell you what, when he gets the helmet off, it'll probably be full of adrenaline. These guys have worked hard. John Force, did you think it was possible? The final round of national event.
Can I say, the Lord's with me here. I'm digging that. She, I guess, brakes didn't fall with Raymond there, and they fell with me, and I'm going to put Wendy's right in the winner's circle on this next one because she ran good, and she shook just a shade, but she was making it. She's ready to run.
Okay, you didn't get lane choice, so Bernstein ran a little quicker. Is that a factor, do you think?
It could be a factor, but I think when the Lord's rolling with you, it's rolling. I'm going in that final round.
On a hot roll, John Force.
That's the finals for the Cajun Nationals. It'll be John Force in his Corvette-bodied car against Kenny Bernstein driving the Plymouth Aero-bodied creation. All three of the professional categories contested at the Cajun Nationals had 8-car fields. Earlier this evening, we saw the factory hot rod. Wally Booth driving the AMC Concorde parlayed a big hole shot into a big win over Ronnie Sox driving for the team of Sox and Martin. Two competitors were unable to make it back for the final eliminations due to the rain delay. Their opponents received bye runs. They were paired together in the first round of eliminations. Lee Shepard and Randy Humphrey each winning on this run. Bob Glidden moving into the semifinals. We met him earlier, has absolutely dominated pro stock racing for the past 2 years. The man that set the new national record just several weeks ago from Long Beach, California, driving a Plymouth Volare, is Randy Humphrey. A man that has already won 2 Cajun Nationals titles. He won a modified title and a Pro Stock Eliminator title. Lee Shepard driving for the team of Rare and Morrison. And the driver out of Berkeley, Michigan, of that AMC Concorde, this is Wally Booth. In the semifinal round, it is the national record holder, Randy Humphrey, against the former record holder, Bob Glidden, carrying the big number 1 on the side of his car, indicating that he won the World Championship title in Pro Stock last season. The Plymouth Volare against the Plymouth Arrow. Glidden with a slight lead at the middle of the track. He extends it at the finish line. Glidden winning over Humphrey 8.61 seconds to a losing 8.66. Here's how close it was in instant replay. Wally Booth looking for another of those great hole shots. He'll need it to beat the Chevrolet of Lee Shepard out of the Rare and Morrison shop in Arlington, Texas. Booth driving the AMC Concorde, finished 9th in the world last season, while Lee Shepard was number 4. Not much of a hole shot for either driver. Side by side, they head down that quarter mile. And just by inches, it's Lee Shepard, 8.72 seconds elapsed time to a losing 8.81 for Wally Booth, and here's how close it is. Engineering and chassis design play an important role in drag racing. To recognize this, the Fram Best Engineered Award. Earlier, Steve looked at the winners.
A very clever chassis innovation has earned for the owners of this dragster, Rick Luce and Tom Williams of Garland, Texas, the Fram Corporation's Best Engineered Car Award here at the Cajun Nationals. An adjustment at the front of the chassis combined with a pivot at the rear of the chassis means they can move the level of the engine up or down, putting more weight on the rear end or taking weight off depending on changing track conditions. Very clever, and it does work. They set the national record just a week ago.
Throughout this Cajun Nationals Championship, 5 categories of sportsman racing have also been in competition. The top of the line of sportsman racing is Pro Comp, a broad spectrum of race cars, and they faced a special challenge. From Groves, Texas comes Charlie Smith, rising like a dinosaur from the swamps around State Capitol Dragway. His antiquated front-engine dragster with its supercharged Chevy engine drew looks of disbelief from his competitors, riding in their sophisticated rear-engine cars. The wonderment gave way to dismay as one of their own fell. Once again, the ancient mount approached the starting line and was equal to the challenge. Concern spread rapidly as our man named Smith returned to defeat yet another of the shiny new machines. Yes, the dinosaur is for real, and Charlie Smith and his front-engine dragster is in the finals against Wayne Clapp, driving a car constructed with the latest technology.
In your wildest dreams, even if you got to the final, did you ever think you'd face what people have been calling the dinosaur?
No, I hadn't. In fact, I saw that car at a couple points meets before, and I thought he was on, exhibiting it or something.
He's running awful good.
Oh, yeah, he is. He really did run good. So, this is no easy deal.
Let's not be complacent.
Oh, no, Anybody that makes it to the finals, good enough.
Well, the short time you've been in Pro Comp, it's a real credit to yourself and car owner Dean Thompson. This is Wayne Clapp going into the final round against the dinosaur.
We'll be back in just a moment with the finals in sportsman racing. And can Wayne Clapp stop the impossible dream of Charlie Smith? At the Cajun Nationals at State Capitol Dragway in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I'm Dave McClelland and the National Hot Rod Association crew checking over the track. Steve's with our Top Fuel finalists.
Dave, I've got the king and the queen of Top Fuel drag racing just moments before a storybook final round here at the Cajun Nationals. 77 world champ Shirley Muldowney. You don't usually talk to the guys you race before the race, do you?
Just say good luck and safe race. That's about it.
What do you figure he's doing to his car here behind us?
It doesn't look like they had any maintenance to do, just, general maintenance, the same as we had to check bearings. That was it.
Kelly Brown, what's going on?
Well, we're obviously trying to make a winner out of it. We're doing everything we know how to do. Shirley is running in the 5s, and we're running very consistently, but we're about a 10th back. So we didn't have to do much maintenance, just overhaul, check everything, and we're trying to find that 10th that she has and maybe put another half a 10th on top of that. I'm not saying too much. Are you crazy?
Best of luck to both of you, and it looks like just a great final round here.
Thank you, Steve. Good luck, Kelly.
Thank you. Good luck, Dave.
Dave McClelland, two very classy people and a real credit to the sport of drag racing. Shirley Muldowney, Kelly Brown. They're going to go at it.
Steve, I thank you, and we'll be seeing the finals in our professional categories in just a moment. Right now, let's take a look at the final race in Stock Eliminator. From Stuttgart, Arkansas comes the Chevrolet of Dennis Oliver. First time ever in an NHRA national event final competition out of Columbus, Ohio. Driving a Buick is Dick Baker. This is handicap racing when one car gets a physical head start. In this case, Oliver gets the head start over Baker. Trying to hold off the charge of the faster car at the finish line. Can he do it? And Dennis Oliver, your Stock Eliminator champion at the Cajun Nationals. In instant replay, we see from half track on, Oliver with about a 2-car length lead coming into the speed traps, and at the finish line, just about a half a car length separating the two. From Memphis, Tennessee, this is Amy Faulk. It's only the second race in history that two women have made the finals at the same time. Amy Faulk in Super Stock Eliminator, driving her Chevy Camaro. Of course, Shirley Muldowney in Top Fuel Eliminator. The competition is Sonny Ray, driving one of those Hemi Barracudas. He will be giving away a big head start to Amy Faulk, and again trying to come from behind at the finish line to catch Ms. Faulk. Can he do it? Watch the Christmas tree as the countdown begins. You'll see the head start and the green light coming on first for Amy Faulk. A good lead by both drivers. At the finish line, it is Sonny Ray, your Super Stock Eliminator. Speed of over 123 miles an hour. He drove around Amy Faulk right about here at the first speed light. The next category in our sportsman racing is modified eliminator in a broad cross-section of cars. That's right, you're looking at it. It's a Volkswagen, but very competitive because he's waded through a wide field of cars. Johnny Heffler from Sulphur, Louisiana, going off against Tupelo, Mississippi's Billy Mansell at the wheel of a wheel-standing Corvette. And from behind, he does it. It is Billy Mansell taking his first ever NHRA title over the first-time finalist Johnny Heffler, driving the Volkswagen, and very close at the finish line as the V8 Corvette comes from behind to take the win. Competition eliminator, Dick Stanbaugh, driving a stretched wheelbase Chevy Vega. The front wheels have been moved out away from the firewall. The car of Rick DeLisi from Pompano Beach, Florida, is Dempsey Hardy, the driver. The one Waco kid entering two cars in this Cajun Nationals Championship. This one making it to the finals against Stanbaugh. Stanbaugh with the head start, and something breaking in Stanbaugh's Chevy Vega. It is Ramonza Dempsey Hardy winning competition eliminator. No competition at the finish line as Dick Stanbaugh breaking halfway through the course. And that leads to the top of the line Pro Comp Eliminator. We've looked at Charlie Smith. He's a 34-year-old research technician from Groves, Texas. He is driving a car that a year ago was running with an injected fuel-burning engine, also in the Pro Comp category, but the car itself dates much further back than that. The front engine design going out several years ago, but Charlie Smith parlaying a lot of luck, a couple of red lights, and a good run in the semifinals to earn his way to meet Wayne Clapp in the sophisticated Ford dragster. And lots of problems with Charlie Smith. Starter Buster Couch looking at competition director Steve Gibbs. They both say, shut it off, Charlie, your day is done, as oil pouring from the motor on the starting line. The danger just too great for Charlie Smith to let him go. And a tough break as Wayne Clapp, driving Dean Thompson's Ford-powered dragster, wins the top of the line in the sportsman category, Pro Comp Eliminator at the Cajun Nationals. And Charlie Smith His great day in the sun finally coming to rest here in the darkness of this rain-delayed Cajun Nationals Championship. He'll be heading back to Groves, Texas with some fond memories of this event. We'll be back with the Pro Finals in just a moment. In the last stages of preparation of their Plymouth Arrow for the final round of Pro Stock Eliminator is Bob and Etta Glidden. Steve Evans is with them.
If you ask the other Pro Stock drivers why Bob and Etta Glidden are #1 in this business, they'll all tell you the same thing. They just flat work harder than everybody else. Glidden, do you ever stop working? Etta?
Not very often.
I mean, at home, at the races, it never ends.
No, it never ends.
I noticed you were packing the parachute. That's kind of the ultimate tribute a husband can give a wife, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm responsible for him stopping at the other end.
What else are you responsible for here preparing for this final round?
Anything that needs to be done. It's kind of a mutual thing. He handles the major mechanical chores, and then any other thing that needs to be done that I handle.
Bob, how's it look for this final round?
Well, it's going to be a close race. I think Lee went a 66, is that right?
Yeah.
And we went 61. So it's going to be whoever gets out first will most likely win the race.
We'll see the final between Bob Glidden and Lee Shepard in just a moment, but right now, the sound of funny cars. John Force driving the Corvette-bodied car, Force hailing from Placentia, California, up against Austin, Texas, Kenny Bernstein. The 34-year-old Bernstein returning to drag racing last season after a 5-year layoff, at which time he formed his own business chain of restaurants throughout the United States and decided to come back into drag racing first class, and he did it with this beautiful Plymouth Arrow-bodied car. John Force, a longtime racer on the West Coast, he also picking up a major sponsorship and deciding to head on the national tour throughout all of 1979, and he's earned his way right here into the finals at the Cajun Nationals. Two of the best funny cars in the country meeting at State Capitol Dragway in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The burnouts completed, both drivers approaching the starting line, concentrating on the Christmas tree, trying to eke out that little bit of advantage at the starting line that may put them ahead at the finish line. Let's watch. And it's John Force out first, but something goes wrong, and Kenny Bernstein wins his first ever NHRA national title. 6.45 seconds at 233 miles an hour. Let's watch in the instant replay. You see the flames standing off from the headers, indicating they're at full throttle as they leave the line. Right there, some mechanical problems set in for John Force. He is forced to shut it off, and Kenny Bernstein wins the race. Steve's at the finish line with the champ.
Dave, absolutely one of the most beautiful cars in all of drag racing in any category finds the winner's circle here at the Cajun Nationals. Its owner, its driver, a businessman racer, Kenny Bernstein, making his first visit to glory NHRA style. Many, many years ago, he raced as far as runner-up, retired from racing to become a very, very successful restaurant and bar owner throughout the Southwest. Congratulations, Kenny Bernstein.
Just great. Just super.
Were you a little sick there for a moment when Force was out in front of you?
Well, yeah, you know, the car left pretty good, and then it seemed to get the tires loose again, and I was wondering for a second we were going to get back around him, but then she took off, and I don't know what happened to him, but we're here, and that's what counts.
Well, congratulations to you. You've brought a lot of class to this sport. Not only your race car, but your transporter. Everything you do seems to have that touch of class and polish.
Well, that's a super compliment, Steve, from you and anybody else, and I really appreciate that. We like to do it that way. We think that the sport deserves it, and we think, just like I did 5 years ago when I quit, if I couldn't go back into it first class and really do it the right way, I just wouldn't do it, and I appreciate the compliment because it makes me feel great.
Pro Stock Eliminator Finals. The classic Chevrolet versus Plymouth battle. This is the Camaro of Rare and Morrison of Arlington, Texas, driven by Lee Shepard. Lee Shepard has been in the finals 4 times at the Cajun Nationals, dating back to 1976 when he won Pro Stock Eliminator. His competition, the #1 car, Bob Glidden in the Plymouth Arrow. This marks the 3rd consecutive year he's been in the finals of Pro Stock. He won in 1977 and in 1978. In 77, Lee Shepard won Modified Eliminator right here on this same racetrack. Last year he was runner-up to Bob Glidden. He's trying this year for the upset of the meet. but it looks like Bob Glidden is stretching his lead, and at the finish line, Bob Glidden takes the win. His 9th consecutive national title, and for the 16th consecutive race in a row, Bob Glidden appears in the finals of Pro Stock Eliminator at an NHRA national event. Let's go again to Steve Evans with Bob Glidden in the winner's circle.
No man has ever done it before. I doubt any will ever do it again. Your 9th straight NHRA national event.
That's great, Steve.
It appears that if anybody's going to beat Bob Glidden, it'll have to be you. You'll have to make a mistake.
Well, this race was really close. I don't know what the numbers were on the final, but
8:59.
what was Shepard?
I don't know. 148.49 you're in.
Yes, but in the semis, he went within 400ths of us. So, this was a close race.
And just recently, they added weight to this car. NHRA did. Took some weight off the other cars, and you're still in the winner's circle. I know you were frustrated by that, but it must feel good now.
It always feels good to win, but it feels good to win.
Are you going to stay with the Plymouth? You talked about maybe going back to the Ford.
Ed and we'll have to discuss that next week and make our mind up. I don't know yet.
It's always Etta. She really is your teammate.
Well, she's not really the teammate. She sees more of what goes on than I do. You know, I'm in the car. I'm going down the racetrack. And she really has a better handle on what we should or shouldn't do. So I have to consult with her no matter what we do.
The last two world top fuel champions meeting in the finals of the Cajun Nationals. Kelly Brown, driving for the over-the-hill gang, switched rides at the end of last season, was soundly criticized by a number of his fellow competitors for that move out of the Brissett and Drake car, but he's parlayed it into a win thus far with the over-the-hill gang, winning the Gator Nationals. Shirley Muldowney has not won a race since August of 1977. She'd give anything to win this race, and it's going to be tough. Both cars capable of running in the 5-second bracket. They leave with Kelly Brown in a good hole shot. And let's see what happens at the finish line. It is Kelly Brown, the defending champion, repeating his top fuel eliminator. Low elapsed time of the meet at 5.92 seconds. His speed, 241 miles an hour. This on a racetrack that before this event had never, ever yielded a 5-second elapsed time. The losing time for Shirley Muldowney, a 5.96 at 2:43. Kelly Brown getting out of his car. With him is Steve Evans.
Kelly Brown bailing out of the over-the-hill gang car, Dave. Talk about a happy guy. He's got the hot hand just like he did last year. He won the Gator Nationals, as you know, the last stop on this Winston NHRA trail. Now the Cajun Nationals. Son, whatever you did to this car, you said you needed a 10th, you got it. A track record 5.92.
Well, as I told you before, the Overhill gang, Bill Schultz, had it like a Swiss watch all day. We made the necessary things that we needed to do to the car. They worked. The car felt fantastic. This is, it doesn't mean much to spectators, but it's the 15th consecutive run without the heads off it, and it's the greatest thing in the world, and I'm extremely pleased.
You nailed her on the Christmas tree.
Well, I had to do it. She had a 10th on me, and Bill told me he'll give me a 10th, but I have to give him a half a 10th, so that's exactly what happened.
Your job is to drive.
Well, my job is to drive, and Bill's job and the Overhill gang's job is to do this and to prepare this car the way they have. They've done the best job and that anyone could do, and I'm extremely pleased.
A very happy man is Kelly Brown, some $10,000 richer by virtue of his top fuel eliminator win, but possibly even more important are those World Championship Series points. Shirley Muldowney is the current points leader, Kelly Brown in hot pursuit, both of them trying to be the first person ever to repeat as a top fuel world champion. A few years ago, the National Hot Rod Association had the slogan, Ingenuity in Action. And I think the 79 Cajun Nationals exemplified that better than any race I've seen in quite some time. The racers, the ingenuity to put the power to the ground to get the performance after that 4-day layoff. For the spectators, just the perseverance of coming back in record-breaking numbers after the rain delay. For Steve Evans from State Capitol Dragway in Baton Rouge, this is Dave McClelland saying so long for now.